Hello, today I'm doing my Criminal Law 1 presentation on my Gary Ridgway case. Today I'm talking about Gary Ridgway, who was a serial killer and happened to kill over what is to believe 90 women. Gary Ridgway is currently a 66-year-old man who is serving time at the Washington State Penitentiary. He was born in Utah in 1949, and then he later grew up in Washington as he went in to serve for 2 years after he graduated high school, serving in the U.S. Navy. Once he returned back home, he found himself working for 30 years, a painter, an automobile painter to be exact. And he was also very popularly known to be a religious man. He was married up to 3 times, and he had 1 son in his lifetime. The killings were believed to have begun as early as 1982 and occurred all the way through 2001 when he was finally arrested. The killing spree resulted in anywhere between 75 or 90, where Ridgway only confessing to 45. These women were all brutally murdered closely to the King County, Washington. The prosecution had a lot of presented evidence for this case. They believed that they had a real strong case in prosecuting him. The prosecutors decided very early on that they had enough evidence to charge him with many accounts of murder. The DNA that was found at many crime scenes happened to be Ridgway's DNA. That was a very important piece of evidence that was expressed, showing that up to 4 crime scenes were a result. DNA test was a result of finding Ridgway's DNA. Many prosecutors didn't want to push the death penalty due to them thinking that they could find the remains of many of the victims. Gary Ridgway said that he would give the information of where the bodies were if he wasn't prosecuted with the death sentence, the death penalty. And in 2003, Gary Ridgway was actually guilty of the 48 murders of women. The 48 murders were accounted all the way from 1982 to 2000. Gary Ridgway was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There are many things that proved him guilty, but the top ones were County Sheriff's Department. A STR and PTR DNA was used to match Gary Ridgway's DNA to prove that at not 1 but at 5 of the crime scenes there were each found leftover DNA evidence. The prosecution team was very strong and firm, and that's why he is behind bars today. Gary Ridgway is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.